Alright, welcome back. So now we're going to be getting ready to make an actual gear with the laser cutter. We've already read all of the information inside the template, which tells us how to cut, how to etch, and how to engrave. Mostly what we'll be doing in this class is cutting. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to my DP. We're going to click on Laser Cutter Resources. We're going to cut on Laser Cutter Gear Generator Template. Boom. Alright, so now we're here. I'm going to maximize this so you can see it a little better. So here we have a gear. Look at that, it's all pretty. And this is actually almost ready to go. We've got to make some alterations to it. So right now that gear is quite big, takes up a lot of material, has a huge shaft which won't really rotate on any of the axles that I have in class or easily available here. So we're going to make some alterations to it. First thing to do is we're going to make the tooth spacing smaller. So I've got this open in Internet Explorer. If you have it in Chrome or Firefox, there'll be a little up-down arrow here. I have it open in Internet Explorer because it prints a little bit easier for me here than it will in Chrome. My computer's a little odd. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to 7. So that's about the smallest gear spacing that we can make on the laser cutter. Works quite well. Still works very smoothly. If you're making bevel gears, you'll want to set this up a little higher, probably around the 10 or 15 mark, but for your regular gears that are just moving one rotation to another, this is where you want to be. The other thing is we're going to want to change the shaft hole diameter, which is the hole right here. It's this hole. So for that to fit tightly around a 1/4 inch shaft, you're going to have to convert from millimeters to inches, and just under a 1/4 inch through our experimentation, and to fit tightly with the laser cutter is 6.22. So all I've got to do is click there. Boom. Now that shaft hole has popped down to a smaller size. If we want it to fit loosely but still fit kind of snug, just pop this up to 6.35. It's barely a little bit bigger, but you'd be surprised what a difference that makes. So this is one gear. It's pretty rare that we're just going to want one gear. We actually want 2 gears. So for us, we're just going to click on this box that says 2 gears. The generator will actually make 2 gears, the same shaft spacing, and the same tooth spacing, or the proper shaft spacing and the same tooth spacing, the same shaft hole diameter. So if you want one to fit tightly and one to fit loosely, you're going to have to play around with this a little bit. You'll have to play around with it in Illustrator. If for some reason you have made a gear that is bigger than the page, like say we did a tooth spacing of 15 here, maybe even, let's say, 25. See how that gear pops off the page? Well, the way we fix that is we go to the maximum page size, which is 300. Still off the page. So what we'll have to do is actually shift this over, or just do one gear at a time, and then print that out, and then get the second gear with the shaft spacing. So what's critical here is our actual shaft spacing. I'm going to drop this back down to 7. Keep pressing enter, expecting that to work. Now, all this is done is zoomed out. Those objects are still the same size they were before. But now we have our 2 gears which fit together nicely. I'm going to click on Print Gears. I am going to print it as an Adobe PDF. This is also a critical section. So print as an Adobe PDF. Press print. It's going to want to save it as a flash. I like changing the file name to something that I can actually use, so gear test. So that's going to save onto my desktop. You guys are going to have to save it into My Documents. So that's what I'm going to do. Save it into My Documents. Click Save. It's printing. So now that it's saved, hey look, my computer automatically pops it up. I don't want to open it in Adobe Reader. I can't edit it here. I can't cut it as a laser cutter file. I'm going to need to open it up in Illustrator. So I'm going to go File, Open. I'm going to go to My Documents. Called it Gear Test, right? Gearbox, Gear Test. Open. It's quite zoomed in right now, so I'm just going to press Control minus, which zooms me out. Oh, hey, there it is. That looks exactly like what I wanted. So now if I'm using a Windows machine, I'm going to press Control A, which is select all, Control C, which is copy, Then I'm going to close this because I want to do all of my work. All of my work always goes into the template, which I have saved into my documents. Control V, paste. Wow, that's a big file. So, I've read all this already. I've already gone through all of this. So now I'm just going to delete everything I don't need. Go around a little bit. There's nothing down here. Awesome. So now I have these two gears. I'm going to move these up into the upper right-hand corner up here. Boom. There it is. Alright, so there's my two gears. So, we got a couple problems here right now. One is these gears are too close together. When they cut, they're going to sort of overlap each other a little bit. So what I need to do is separate them. But I can't separate them without separating their shaft spacing. But I want to keep that because that's what keeps these things in place, is this shaft and this shaft, right? So I'm going to select the shafts, just the shafts, not the gears themselves, but just the shafts. I'm going to press Control C for copy, and then Control V. Hey look, there's the shafts. There's my shafts. Alright, so that's just the shaft spacing, which is awesome. I have that now. I'm going to select the gear and shaft. I'm going to separate them a little bit. Boom. Now they're separated, but I've got over here a reference of their shaft spacing. I'm going to go over to the rectangle draw tool. Draw a little rectangle around this. Alright. So, now I've got a little board for the gears to go on with their shaft spacing maintained, and I've got my two gears. I'm going to select everything here, and as you read in the template before, the lines need to be red. So if you go over to my swatches right here, you just click red. Now you got to make sure that over here our line is selected, our stroke, and our fill is null. So if I click on the fill, I want to make sure when I go over to the swatches, it's null. Right? That's exactly what I want. So I've still got all of these lines selected. I'm going to go over to line weight. I'm going to type in 0.001. That is the command for cutting. So there. Now all of that is ready to cut. So what do I do now? I go to File, Save As, and I'm going to go into my computer, Student Shared, Engineering, right here, Laser Cutter Files, and I'm going to call this Brendan C. Cut, or Brendan Cavalier Cut Gears. Every couple of weeks I'm going to empty this out. I'm going to put it in Laser Cutter Archives. Please don't save it there, just save it under Laser Cutter Files. Helps keep everything organized for me so that when I'm at the laser cutter this goes very smoothly and quickly. Alright, so click Save. Okay. And it'll be there. Now these gears are ready to cut, ready to go for you guys. Alright. That's it for this time. The next video is how to make a box. Thanks guys. See you later.